Hello, everyone, and we are so excited to be here today with you. Woo! It is Thursday. It is Thursday, which is actually a pretty awesome day because it's a day where we get to look back on the work that we've done and the things that we've accomplished this week already. And then we get excited for the weekend. And I always end up setting goals and thinking about, what's coming up actually for the next week is what I'm doing right about now. So I just wanted to introduce you guys to my dear friend, someone who's we've just met. I think it's actually been almost 2 years. I think some reminders came up. We met through some other friends, and we were at a Brendan Burchard conference. And anyway, we just connected instantly. And Sarah is a real estate expert. I like to say she's also a wealth expert because she's an expert helping people in multi-unit property investing. Did I get that right? And teaching.
Multi-family, you got it. Yeah, you got
it. Right. So anyway, Sarah has her MBA. She's been featured in Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine. And what we want to talk to you about today is part of what she's been doing. She's been using emotional intelligence to transform her business relationships, transform her real estate business and her sales results specifically, but also transform her relationships with her family. And so welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have a good time. We're going to be here for about 30 minutes. So if you guys can hang out with us, you're going to learn not just about us and not just about emotional intelligence, but we're going to help you understand how you can deepen your relationships. So the information that we're going to give you is going to be instrumental in connecting with your family and your spouse during these COVID times. Sarah and I, we are business women. We love talking business and sales and all things wealth and money. But Sarah was like, Jolynn, people are really struggling with relationships right now. We're all stuck at home, and what we're going to teach you today is going to help you communicate better with your spouse, with your loved ones, and just bring more harmony into your home. So with that, Sarah, do you have a few things you want to say to our audience today?
Well, first of all, I'd love to say thank you, Jolynn. I really appreciate you hosting this event this evening, just a chance for us to get together. I mean, we often connect by phone, by Zoom, while we're multitasking, running our companies. And so I really appreciate the opportunity tonight to, get on with you and just chat and connect with the audiences and, just share some of our successes and some of the hacks that we have as well. Because I think, what we're doing and what's helping in our business, why not share it with other people? That's the way I see it, right? It's an opportunity for us to give back. And for me, this is kind of the level that I'm at now. With so much success behind me, now I look to, how can I impart, wisdom, share some of these tips with other friends, clients, family. And I've even worked with my 7-year-olds on this. It's really amazing if I share some of the stories with you tonight, if that's okay. All this has had an impact, for my clients and my business. But also in my family and, really helped other people. Like you said, people have been struggling with their relationships as well. And that's something that I've noticed with clients as well. I had one client actually call me and say, Sarah, if we close on our house, how soon can we list it after? And I said, oh, my goodness, what's going on? And her and her husband, they just been getting in some heated arguments. And I said, look, it's a tough time right now, right? I mean, you're selling one property, you're buying another property. There's a lot of stress, and maybe there's a way to look at it. He's coming from a different perspective than you are. She said, that's really helpful. And we kind of dove into it a bit. And, I offered some advice based on, the systems and tools that I'm using. And she said, that makes a lot of sense. I wish, I'd heard of that before. And I think she's actually going to be joining us next week, Jolynn, in our training.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. And speaking of which, I know a lot of us and a lot of the people that follow us and are in our communities are also big Tony Robbins fans. And I know a lot of people are at an event with him. And I've seen Tony save and do interventions with a lot of relationships at his Date with Destiny event. But I've also seen him do that at Business Mastery. And guys, it always comes down to this topic of emotional intelligence. and empathy. And so, Sarah, would you help everybody understand, how do you define emotional intelligence for the people who have never heard of it before? What does it mean?
No, absolutely. No, and I think, Jolynn, this is an important piece. It's that other, sense that we get from people when we start to understand, what perspective are they coming from? If we can start to understand emotionally, what their perspective is, as we start to understand them better as well, it really kind of removes some of that judgment. Does that make sense? So sometimes we feel like, why does somebody need to know the step-by-step system? Or why does somebody want a 100-page report on something before they make a decision? Like, come on, get on with it.
Yeah.
Or somebody else is really quick. They're quick to the chase. They want just the bottom line. They just want the exact number and that's it. And they'll make a decision, within seconds.
Yeah.
Versus somebody else that really wants to connect, and understand and build a relationship. As we look at these different, personalities and different, types of personalities and what's most important to people and based on their values, once we start to understand that, it really helps us unlock the code to understanding them better, helping to serve them better, build these better relationships, give them the information that they do need in the right amount of time, or cut to the chase sometimes when we need to. So it really helps us to kind of crack that open and, help our clients, but also help us to help them get to the next step. And even when we use our family, this is something that my 7-year-olds understand. It's funny because of COVID, the schools have been shut down and I don't know if they're going to open, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Yeah. But their teacher actually popped by with masks and a glove to, drop off a couple of things. It's so sweet because she was missing all the students. And my daughter said, I have a present for you. She ran in my office. And she actually grabbed, I'm going to show you what she grabbed because I always have my set on my desk. And she grabbed a set of these cards and she said, I want to give you this. So she gave them to the teacher and the teacher said, oh, wow, can I keep these? And I said, absolutely. But I said to her, do you want to play the game with the kids first? And so
cool.
Like, okay. So I said to them, wait, don't say it out loud, but I actually want you to guess what her code is, like what her personality code is. And so they each guessed. So my son guessed because he knows the teacher, he's had her. My daughter also guessed her code and because she's had her as well. So they've had her over 2 different years. And then we proceeded to crack her code without revealing what the kids had guessed. And she hadn't revealed what she cracked. They had just, everybody's sharing the information to me.
Wow.
So she cracks her code and my son got the code 96% accuracy.
Wow.
My daughter hit 100%. She got it exactly right.
Wow. Impressive.
And they're 7, right? So this kind of thing, it's so simple, but it's so easy to apply. There's so much more to it when you want to learn more, but at the same time, it's so simple that even the children start to understand, how can I use this with my teachers, or my friends, or we're at the airport. Literally, we're in South Korea just in December, and we're going through the airport. And, of course, the lady says, she's like, step behind the line. Everybody have your passports open to this page. We this way. And so I looked at the kids. I said, what code do you think she is? And they said, she's Blueprint. So I said, okay, well, let's just follow the rules, right? So it's so funny how we can start using this in our business. So
that's a really good example. But what came fresh to my mind was also, think about your mother.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually recently went to go visit my mom, as you know, and I was there for a month. And she's getting older in age, and so communication is different now than it used to be. And now I know this. I've always had to leverage like this intuition to be able to say, this is the way I should communicate with this person. I think this is the way because my gut tells me so, but I never had any science. Yeah. I never had any science. I never had a real method unless somebody went and did a 25-page personality test and then it gave me a 100-page report. Like, you don't have time for that for your family, right? And so, so I was able to apply this science that I've been learning along with you, that we keep saying, crack your code. We see your code, and then she showed your cards. And that's what we want to kind of share with you guys. And we'll get there in a second about kind of the method. But I just want to tell you that it's really helped me communicate with my mom. Yeah. And because now I know, does she want me to bark commands at her, like to get things done? No, that doesn't work. And does she need me to go through a list of steps and be really specific. No, not really. She's very nurturing. So she responds to me better by when I say, I love you, everything's going to be okay. And then I ask her a question. Or she jokes around that my sister's mean, but really my sister still communicates with her in action when my mom's a nurturer. And so we all have moms, like we all have a mom figure or a mom, and we all have friction with the old mom. Like it's the communication thing. And so that's why like this idea of emotional intelligence and this science that we want to talk to you guys about is like so magical. Like it takes all the guessing out of it. And so do you mind to hold those cards up? Because I just want to skip ahead to show people like how amazing this is. And so these cards, and they are in perfect bank order. Why don't you walk them through? Like, just like the first time you told me about B.A.N.K, because by the way, I have like, I was fascinated at the time and I'm still fascinated and I just can't, I'm just learning and learning. And just when I think, I've learned it, there's more, there's just always more. And so tell us a little bit about the cards. Do you mind?
No, I don't mind at all. This is my favorite game to play, either with clients. I've used this with students, but everybody, you're right, is fascinated by it. Even I was the first time that I discovered B.A.N.K and the system. For me, that happened at the end of 2017. So I really only started implementing this in my business in 2018, and I started with the cards. And I literally, when we could meet with people in person, would have them in my suit pocket all day long, and I just pop them out. And just ask people to play a quick game with me and read the information on the cards and sort them based on what's most important, first, second, third, fourth, to help me understand them better and to save us both a lot of time. And the cool thing is people sort these cards. I would often have, even a husband and wife or partners. So I'd have two sets. I've got another set here. This is actually a kid set, but you see the logos on there, et cetera. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I use with my kids because they couldn't read the cards when they were, 5 or so when they started doing this. But it really helps us to understand, if somebody's leading with blueprint, and they are really needing information step by step by step. They're the kind of people that'll send you an email, formal email. They will be the kind of people that show up to the appointment 30 minutes early. The kind of person they want to plan, the holiday dinner out like next year, like 12 months early. So people that are following the rules and, they really want to be specific on that. Like predictability is so important for them, so that's our blueprint personality. And then Jolynn, if you have questions, just jump in or you want to say anything else, but, our action types, this is my son. He's like, I can brush my teeth faster than you. Or like I have more Cheerios than you, or, like no matter what it is, he's always competing, right? So this is our competitive types. They want to win. It's about lifestyle. They want to be the kind of like living the dream, or entrepreneurs, athletes, people that want to be on the stage. So that's our action types.
Yes.
Nurturing, like your mom. And, nurturing the sense of it's really important to build that relationship, connect with people, be genuine, right? And spend more time, like you were saying, even with your mom, building the relationship. She wants to ask more questions. This is when you get a message from somebody and they're like, and how are you? And what else have you been up to? And what time did you get home last night? And just, those ongoing questions, the action type is like, just shut it down. I'm on to the next thing, and then our knowledge types, these are our friends and family that they want all the information. In fact, when I have clients that are high knowledge, I literally over here have like 100-page reports that I'm meeting, if I'm meeting with a knowledge client, and whether it's in person, I have a report I hand them that I'll prepare for them, give them all the information, the statistics, the data, right?
Yes.
Or now that we're doing a lot, not in person, I'll just email the report, that 100-page report. So these are the kind of the people that want to, get all of that information and review it and think about it, consider it, and I often just say to them, hey, once you've read through this information, let me know if there's anything else I can get for you, right? So really, it depends on, and that's just what they're leading with. We can get into talking about stress codes and, that secondary code, how that fits in and where the last code fits. So, it's a matter of, we're not just one code, we're actually all the codes.
Yeah.
And that's a really important piece as well. That we have all these codes in us, But depending on the order, right? There's 24 different orders. Depending on the order, that's going to impact how we show up.
Yep.
What else is supporting us? What happens when we get under stress? So for example, financial stress, when COVID happens, for example, any other significant life stress, in our last code, what will really turn us off, when that fourth code comes into play. So it's
right.
I don't know. Anyways, that's
so important.
And I love it.
That is so important because for you guys out there, if you know me, I'm in action. But I'm also a very high nurture. So I can kind of I'm actually equal. I can go back and forth on those. But at the end of the day, I'm action. I'm like, if I had to pick between having the long conversation and just helping you go, get it, do it, that's where I want to be. And, but what I love the most and I'm so honored and blessed to know Esther and Sherry, who not are only the founders, but the leaders of the company. But I'm learning from them that you can move one of those personality buckets forward when you need it. So say, for instance, I'm in action and, but I need to slow it down. Like I need to really maybe during tax season or when I'm doing fiduciary kind of duties for my business, right? I mean, there's no shortcutting. You've got to go into that blueprint knowledge kind of, person. And so I'm like, wow, I can almost see myself grabbing this other personality and saying, come over here, you have it, but I need you to come over here and run it for just a little bit and let action kind of take a little breather. Yes. So I have these, being a life coach and a motivational coach, like I know the psychology of controlling this, like running the mind. And so for me, this is just another tool for me to be able to say, okay, I have the power to choose. Nothing is completely involuntary, right? And I don't know if anybody here is watching, but you might have already done this crack to your code. And so I'm going to put a link here. You just go to crackmycode.com/Jolynn, and you can go figure out your own code using the card. You don't use the cards, but it's electronic. You can do it right on your phone. You just slide it over. It's really cool. And you'll get a really comprehensive report sent to your email. Super cool. Have your spouse do it. Have your kids do it. Anyway, like for me, this has been the biggest gift in my arsenal of tools and that I've had in years. And so it's kind of like my pastor says, if you have the cure or the antidote to a disease, why wouldn't you share it with the world, right? And this is one of those things. This is the cure to poor communication. This is the cure to bad sales numbers. This is the cure to long sales cycles. This is the cure to mad customers. This is the cure to your marriage. I mean, and I know that you're like, oh, Jolynn, you can't just shuffle these cards and then save my marriage. But you know what? If you start communicating in a way that your spouse or your partner understands and they feel loved, yeah, that can save your marriage. So it doesn't have to be a long drawn out therapeutic process. I think the very first place you would start is speaking the language. How many of you have bought the book, Love Languages, Gary Chapman? Like, we all buy this book. We're like, okay, we're going to try to make this work. And, we want to know, are you physical touch? Are you blah, blah, blah? Are you acts of service? So if you go buy that book, then you need to be cracking your code because this is equally, if not as more powerful. It's just another way of knowing the love language.
Because guess what happens, right, Jolynn? I mean, you know this already, but just to share it with everybody out there, if you're leading with action and nurturing, it's probable, opposites attract, that you're married to somebody that's going to be high blueprint and high knowledge. Right. So why do you think people are fighting? Because they don't understand each other, right? But if you start to understand, hey, my spouse, wants to, connect with me and, just cut to the chase, or, my spouse needs more information, needs a step-by-step process, we can start to provide the info that they need and give them the space so they can process it and then, help them get to the decision, So you start having somebody that's action, finding the information report, going to the car dealership or something and just saying, hey, give me all the information you have. I'm going to take it home to my spouse. My spouse can review it. And then if we need more info, we'll be back to just buy this car.
Yeah. So, what's funny about that, and I'm just going to get a little personal because that's how I roll. That's just me. I'm an open book. And I rarely ever talk about my ex-husband. And I love him dearly. We grew up together since we were 10 years old. He played Pee Wee football. I was a Pee Wee cheerleader. I mean, we are super close, and he's super dear and near and dear to me. But a perfect example is I'm in action and he's in knowledge. And so when we talk on the phone, usually about 2 seconds in, I'm like, I'm like, are you done? Okay. Nope, he's not done. Okay. Because he needs to also tell me that. Right. And so, we didn't know this when we were married, that he was a knowledge kind of based person and I was in action. And so he thought I was impatient. Mm-hmm. But the truth was, that's just who I'm just like a like action kind of person. I wouldn't take the time to explain things to him. Then he thought I was maybe deceptive or not patient enough to explain the details. Like he always needed more information, or maybe I was lazy, right? And so I'm just saying, like, note, he's the ex-husband. So just saying, open book here. So you're welcome for that. Yeah. But
so we can save some marriages, like you said, Jolynn.
100%.
We can save marriages with this.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, and then I can also share a story next, but tell me an example or a story about how you've used emotional intelligence and this code breaker technology is what it's called, guys. And, how have you used that recently, if you can share, in a transaction or a business relationship?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'd love to. And I have so many examples, but I'll share one because I think it's relevant. It literally is a business relationship that I came upon during COVID. And because I couldn't use the cards, I literally met my clients by Zoom. So it was clients that contacted me. They wanted to sell their house because, again, I'm in real estate. And I said, great, we'll set up a time. We Zoom called. Now, he had texted me, so I thought he's probably high action. So these are things that we start to learn. Like there's little other tips and tricks as we go along that we start to learn, so we can start to assess what bank code we might be working with before we, get to crack the code. Yeah. So he had been texting me, and he had also phoned me. So I thought he's probably higher action and nurturing. But anyhow, I got on the call with him and his wife, and I said, it's really nice to meet you guys by Zoom. Okay, so we were online literally. I said, it's great to meet you. Sorry we can't meet in person, but at least we can continue to do business. And I said, quickly, if you don't mind, I just want to play a quick game. And I pulled up the link, cracked my code, pulled up the link. I showed them the cards while I was on the call and just said, I usually do it in person, but since we're not in person, let's crack our codes here. Yeah. And so I read through the information, sorted the cards. I had 2 sets of cards, right? And so I sorted them based on, he was on this side of the call. So I put his cards there. She was on this side of my screen. So I put her over here. Helps me keep top of mind. Of interest, he was high action, but his second code was blueprint. Now, because he phoned me as well, I thought maybe he might have been higher nurturing. Again, I was just trying to assess what I might be, coming into. But he was high action and blueprint, and she was actually high nurturing and then blueprint. So the benefit was that I was able to crack their codes. We had another, 10-minute call, and I went through everything because they're both high in blueprint. I just said to him, I know that you're going to want to get to the bottom line. And he's like, yes. And I said, I know it's going to be important for us to, connect and build a good relationship here. But for both of you, you're going to want to hear what the process is step by step as we go through this, this part of the real estate process. And they said, yes. So for me, I was able on that call to go through it. Now, the knife in the heart is at the end of the call when they said, we're going to check with a few other realtors. I said, no problem, because my action is high. I just want to list their house and help them get it sold so they can move on. Right.
Right. Exactly.
But I had to sit back and be patient because, part of the blueprint code is that they want to go through their due diligence process, make sure that they're hiring the perfect realtor
Yes.
and go through their process because they want to minimize the risk. Their risk would be hiring the wrong person. So a week later, the phone rings, I get hired. Okay. So no surprise to me, but they said, you got us. And I said, absolutely.
Shocker. Yeah, of course.
I cracked their codes. I understood what was important to them. So I was able to provide the right amount of information. Now, like I've been in real estate over a decade, right? And investing in real estate for almost 20 years. So I know the process. I know how to explain it. Now, my blueprint, honestly, is low. Okay. So for me, blueprint is low. But like Jolynn said, when we need to, we can bring that up. I can show up in a blueprint way. I just don't naturally show up that way. But when I knew it was important to my clients, then I easily went into the step-by-step process to make it predictable for them so that they would understand, how we were going to move through this process. And so from their perspective, they call me back. I literally had their house. I told them, so the next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to send you the paperwork. The next thing, the sign will go up today. The next thing is, I'll be there with a photographer tomorrow, et cetera. So I went through step by step the process with them, again, because of the high blueprint. Okay.
Yeah.
When I was contacting him, I would text him. When I was talking to her, I would phone her, right? Because I'm still sticking to their codes, right? The best part was we literally had an offer in 24 hours. This was COVID days, like very, very early. You'll probably see it on my Facebook. I literally was out there with like a coming soon, sign with like.
I remember that.
So and you know what? And we literally sold that within 24 hours. And it's such an interesting process because, normally you would meet people and you'd walk through their house with them. So it helped me to serve them better. They needed to sell their house. They needed to sell it. And so literally we had it sold in 24 hours and closed in 3 weeks. So for me, this transformed everything. And it helps me help them. And so that's really valuable.
So valuable. So valuable. And, the real estate market is so different right now. I actually have been reaching out to a lot of realtors. So if you're a realtor and you're watching this, we know that depending on where you are, that there might be inventory issues. I know in Orange County, I've heard from the real estate community here that the inventory's low. And so they're actually cold calling homeowners asking if they want to sell their home. And, if
they could figure out their code, they'll be able to move the process forward, if they've got somebody that's ready, willing, and able. So,
well, and the truth is, guys, that they actually can figure out their code, or they can get it better than guessing, because Codebreaker actually has a technology that is artificial intelligence based. And it basically, you can copy and paste somebody's, maybe their Facebook post, or maybe their LinkedIn profile, or maybe you got an email from them in the past, or whatever. You can go copy and paste that into this technology and it'll tell you their code. So you don't have to guess like I had to do in sales, 10, 20 years ago, or 6 years, whatever. I don't know, 6 years ago now. And, it's so funny because I was like, wow, like if I crushed it in sales back then without this, like just guessing, but I can't imagine if this would have been available. So I'm sorry, I'm being a little pitchy about it, but it's the antidote. It's like the thing that the world is lacking right now is empathy. And it's because we don't know how, or we're not sure. And some people just don't have that empathetic radar. They are just built differently. And this gives every single human being on the planet the ability to have empathy without having it in their DNA. And so what we like to say is, one world, one language. And so it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because I think all we really need right now in the world is harmony. And people say, oh, just love and be kind. Yeah, absolutely. Those are things. But to love someone and to be kind to someone, you have to be able to anticipate what they need. And this is one way to do that. So awesome. Okay,
yeah,
so
I was just going to jump in. Sorry, Jolynn.
No,
artificial intelligence is incredible, and for me, I love sharing that story that I shared just about COVID, but the artificial intelligence, when you're starting to put together, marketing and posting things online, literally, I'm actually coaching a team right now, and they're driving to be the number one group in Canada, and they're pushing for that this month. So coaching their top members on their team. But honestly, it's a matter of taking some of that information, putting it in the AI, and then just seeing, did I get all 4 codes? Did I miss something? Like for me, the blueprint, and just trying to make sure that you've got all the codes covered so that you really connect. Because honestly, if you can connect with all 4 codes here, then all of a sudden you transform your sales. Because naturally, if we show up in one code, we're missing the other 3, right? So this is the 3 people that are going to walk over to our competition.
Yeah.
That helps more. But if we can, position our marketing and communicate in all 4 codes, and all of a sudden, we've increased our sales. And that really is also a game changer. So the artificial intelligence is magic. Like it is. It's an incredible technology.
I actually teach my students, my clients. I kind of more of a strategist and teacher now than a coach these days, just helping people in this kind of laser focused way to build their coaching businesses or their expert based business. And the key thing that so many people leave out in the beginning is knowing who your ideal customer is or your ideal client. And this is a way you can actually determine who that person is. And then you can make sure that all of your posts and all of your emails and all of your sales copy on those long web pages that people have to read before they can buy your product actually is speaking to them. And so that's what I actually help my students do now. I'm like, you can almost, I don't want to eliminate anybody, but if you can't hire a professional copywriter, this is about as awesome as it gets, because you can copy and paste your sales copy into this technology tool. And if it's all blueprint, then you're alienating people who are knowledge, nurture, and action. You want to be balanced, or alternatively, you want to be exactly what the code is of your ideal client. So real quick, like one of the things I have my students do is I say, figure out your ideal client and then go do what's called an ideal client validation. So I ask them to all go call people and say, okay, now I want to make sure what I think you are is actually accurate. And so they do a phone call. And then what would be ideal is if they would also get them to do this code cracking here. And so that's something that I let all of my students have, access to. And I teach them how to be able to use that. So it's really mind blowing for me. But okay, so let's go ahead and start wrapping it up, because we know attention spans.
Yeah.
We know, guys, we know. That's why we made this all bright pink and pretty. And so what are your final thoughts on emotional intelligence, and what was your before and after?
For me,
emotional intelligence and your knowledge, and after.
Yeah. For me, it has just been a huge transformation, because like you and I had said, when you hear about this, it is fascinating. You're intrigued by it. Yeah. You're wondering what it's about. You wonder, will this work for me the way that everybody's saying that it will? Mm-hmm. But once you start to learn this, you can't take it away. Right. And I think that is the huge application. Once you start to even after tonight, listening to Jolynn and I for a few minutes here, you start to think about this. You're probably already thinking like, I think I know my code or my spouse's code or my child's code. And all of a sudden, just share Jolynn's link, get your children to do this, your family, your, best client, your most challenging client. You start to crack the codes, and you'll get your report back, and then they'll also get their reports back. Mm-hmm. You'll start to see how this can apply. For me on the sales side, if you want to look at numbers and results, I couldn't break through $200,000 a year as a real estate agent before, learning the system, but after I started learning the system, applying it, I increased my sales hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Yes. Hundreds, like multiple hundreds. So for me, that's a game changer. The numbers for me, because I'm high knowledge and action. That's actually my two, my action and knowledge are tied.
Yeah.
You'll see the sales awards behind me. That's my action, the trophies, my MBA degree behind me. So that really speaks to my code.
Yeah.
There's a picture of my kids back there somewhere. So that's my nurturing, and then a book. So, but for me, the results speak, results speak the value and how I've been able to apply it. And for me, I don't like talking to people about things or sharing anything until I know that it's worked for me. I like to make sure that I've done the research and checked it out and tried it out. And for me now, it's changing my business. So it's not going to necessarily help me to share this with anybody, except that I'm at that point where I do want to give back. I do want to see people be successful. I want to help my clients build their real estate portfolios. I want them to drive their income and build their wealth. And through using this, system and technology, it's just another way that they can transform their business, their relationships, et cetera. And so for me, that's my give back, right?
Yeah.
This is the way that I can actually share with people and give back to help them, and wherever they have needs in their life that they want to transform. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, and just the value that I see it bringing to me.
Yeah. I love it. That's a great demonstration of how you're applying it and how you're able to increase your income and wealth it's like by just trying to understand people better.
Yeah.
It's like so simple. And one of the ways I'll share with you guys, and then we'll wrap up, that really valuable is, of course, in full transparency, it absolutely helps when I'm signing on new clients. But for me, I always, and if you know me, you know this, come from a service perspective. And so it's always about how can I put myself in their shoes? And so not only has it helped me get more, clients to come work with me, which is really important because then I can help them and they can increase their wealth and income, but I also can teach them better because I know their modality. I know what sets in and what sinks in. And so if you're a teacher, I think, especially in this virtual kind of world, in this virtual setting, use this. Get your students, try to get your school districts to because now you're virtual and you're teaching, and it's even more important to connect with each student on their individual level. So I think that this could also revolutionize, I'm just going out there on a whim, but I'm just going to say it can revolutionize our education system and the way that people learn and teach forever.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with you, Jolynn. It's just, it's transformative for us providing services, but it's transformative for our clients, and they might not even know why we get them, right? They might not even truly understand how we've transformed that, relationship for them, transaction, or that teaching and learning. But really, this is it. It's a game changer. Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. So we have a few items, kind of call to action. Wake up. Okay. So Sarah has a number of programs where she can help people with real estate investing and learning that. But also, I think that you've helped other people with wealth consciousness and just in general growing their wealth. And so Sarah's her website is right there, and you can connect with her also, Sarah J. Stevens, here on Facebook. Sarah and I are also hosting next Tuesday. Sarah's the main trainer guru. Next Tuesday, we are hosting a 4-hour live virtual workshop. Normally these would be in person, but we're teaching the fundamentals of this. We're passing that knowledge on to you. And so I will put a link to that in the comments. Sign up. We have some great promotions if you guys sign up tomorrow. And so we definitely want to see you there. If you have a spouse or partner that you want to bring, or a business partner, there's an option to get a 50% off discount for that person. So definitely check that out. And then, of course, you know where to find me because you're here. But I have some really outstanding programs coming up, and you can find those on my website. You can also find, which is right here, and you can also find the personality assessment, the code breaker assessment on my website as well. So please reach out to us. Please share this. Please put this comment, any questions. We'll be watching the feed and happy to respond to any questions that you may have Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sarah. I love doing this with you.
Thank you, Jolynn. Thank you.
I can't wait for next week. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
All right. All right, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.